No, I saw no 0.0 USFL. Not because I'm opposed to it. I think it's fine. I actually feel badly for football players. I have seen this many times, like firsthand, where a guy comes in, a reputable NFL player, maybe he's been out of the league for like half a season, but he still wants to play. Nobody will sign him. Comes in with a little duffel bag, gets like 15 minutes to run around in shorts in front of a coaching staff that is losing anyway. So who knows what their opinion is worth? And then they tell the guy, "Hey, yeah, thanks very much for coming. Here's a plane ticket home. See you next time." And so it's very borderline. Guys that make it in the NFL and guys that don't. And as a professor was pointing out on Friday, and he's probably right about this, he was talking about every offensive lineman that has pro capabilities is already in the NFL. Otherwise, you're just taking fat guys out of a Wawa, and saying, "Hey, Joe, put that sandwich down. I got a contract for you. I'm going to give you 2 dimes to play for the USFL team today."
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Thursday, as we originate from South Florida, Jeff Deforrest and Mike Lubitz, the Defo Show here on ION Channel and assorted other platforms. Glad to have you with us for this Cinco de Mayo special.
Yes, sir.
Jane Jarvis kind of made that song very popular. I know people think that it's a Mexican original, and you would associate that with as soon as you cross the border into Tijuana, you start dancing to a little Chapanecos. I'm probably getting in trouble, for even making that sound effect.
I think in baseball.
Yeah. Jane Jarvis was the organist for the New York Mets, and this was it could be a true-false trivia question, and we'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, but it's coming later in the program. So Lenny, Ron, and all the people, Andy, that traditionally call in. We've had some new players get involved here as we've been playing 3-4 guys every week, and Dave Gurgley was tied up with something. I don't want to say that, but, because it is early in the morning. He could have been tied up by his girlfriend, but he's actually busy. Let's put it that way. And Gurgles is going to join us at 8:30. So we'll go. Is that confirmed now? Because I believe I'll have to send you the place that he wants the link sent to. I'm not sure if he's operating from a different location today. But Gurgles is going to be with us about 8:30. So we'll do about a half hour of Trivia Challenge activity. And we will do that from about 8:30 until 9 o'clock today. Tomorrow going to be a blockbuster with the Degenerate Friday contingent, including the professor and the big board. I don't know what he's going to do this week. Cause
I have no idea.
How many of these things can he come up with? I mean, if you're doing one a week, that's 52 a year.
Yeah,
that's 104 every 2 years.
Well, he got a reprieve last week, so that's what it was. So maybe once in a while he'll get like a week off or something. I don't know. I always tell him, you don't have to do it. He's like,
yeah.
If you don't want me, I won't be doing it. I'm like, no, we love you doing it. It just seems like a lot. He's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, okay.
It's good. It's a video variation on a theme where he used to go 10 deep with the Professor Power Rankings. Remember that?
Yep.
When he was doing it strictly as an audio entity, and we do feature that on our various audio channels. Have we straightened that out? Did we hear from anybody? ION Channel? Are they still carrying us on ION Channel? I don't even know.
I think we're
been in touch with those people for a while.
The audio stream, I think, is down. So those who try to do the audio, I'm working on my own thing. So by next week, we'll have an audio stream back. But we are here on video. So hi, good morning.
Okay, very good. All right, well, that's good to know because we have a very big and loyal following and a story that we have to get to in just a sec. But Jane Jarvis, this would be the question. Did she play the Thomas or the Hammond organ when she was the organist for the Mets? And she was one of the first to really expand on the stadium organist becoming a big feature at a ball game. I guess, it obviously was big with the Cubs, right, where they had Harry Carey for years singing, "Take me out to the ball game." And various other people. Although Carey, did he work for the Cardinals before the Cubs? I want to say Cardinals first, then Cubs, White Sox for a while. The great Harry Carey, but tremendous tradition. And this was a 7th-inning stretch tradition, and you knew it was coming. Middle of the 7th, at home, Shea Stadium, where I was for many, many of these occasions. And she would break into Chapanecos, right? But it's Cinco de Mayo, which is always a very special day for me, or time of the year. I mean, there couldn't be a better weekend coming up. You have the Kentucky Derby. We're going to have Kate Bradar on the Degenerate Friday show. She was with us on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox yesterday and had some interesting... A horse whisperer is a good person to have as your handicapper, your in-house handicapper, is it not?
Yep.
Talks directly to the horses. Hey, Secretariat, how you feeling today? And Secretariat actually answers back, I'm good, Caton. How are you? Yeah, I think I could do the first quarter of a mile in 23 and change. That's going to dust the rest of the field. You know that the competition is going to be gassed by the time we get to the half mile, and that's when I'm going to open it up. Okay, thanks. And then Caton will come on a show and say, well, here's what Secretariat's going to do, and she got it straight from the horse's mouth, literally. So we'll have that for you tomorrow. I'm very excited about it because it's going to be a great couple of days here. I say 3 straight days of a sporting bloodbath for me. We have the watch party tonight, which you say, well, you're busy with something else, right? Your trivia?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. Speaking of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And now, where are you going to be tonight? Is that your Landlubbers night?
Clubs. We're at Landlubbers tonight. We usually start at 6:30. So come check us out. I'm sure we'll be doing our own little Panthers watch party as I'll be stressing out the Panthers going down.
Now, that's a good place. I mean, you're near the arena there at Landlubbers. I would imagine a lot of the people that are going to game are going to stop in
there,
at Landlubbers before and after the game. So after the game, the Flowers might be in a punch tonight. And it will not be a pleasant experience for me to sit next to the insufferable now Mike Mayo. See, and I know that Mayo, he's so weird. He's a little strange. You know what? On the surface, he would seem like just a simple, normal, obviously a very intelligent individual. He went to Tufts and he was in the London School of Finance or whatever that is, business. I mean, this guy's obviously, a very sharp individual. He was able to write very eloquently about sports, which that doesn't take so much. I was able to do that. But, also a food critic, that's a completely different language, Lubie, when you're writing articles on the food scene as compared to the sports scene. Because the sports scene, everybody knows the terminology pretty much, and they know what you're talking about. And the language itself is fairly simple. I mean, you don't have to use a lot of sophisticated big words to be a sports writer. I guess if you throw a couple in there, it might make you look a little bit more intelligent than some of the other slugs that are writing for the local fish wrap. But the food thing is a totally different language. I mean, it's not even comparable. So you have to go in a whole different mode, right? It was a little humid outside when we arrived for our 7:00 reservations. And I mean, you got to go into all of this storytelling and then talk about some food as if, it made a difference. I mean, do you care, about all of the individual ingredients that are in a dish? You just want to know if it's good or not, right? I don't know. Do you have to break it down like you were dissecting the draft in the 3rd round and, deciding who had the best grade? I'm not sure. But obviously a very intelligent guy, and he's resorted to just, really bathroom humor at this point. You're talking about some of the most sophomoric stuff, including, I heard that he was trying to arrange with Patrick Utter, who declined to do this. And I think in the interest of good taste, obviously, Patrick Utter is well more advanced in hospitality than even Mayo is, having covered the scene. But he was suggesting that they hang dead rats from the ceiling as we go for the watch party tonight at Shenanigans. Can you imagine it? Walk in there, and there's just a bunch of dead rats hanging from the ceiling. Now, first of all, it's likely to spark a visit from that guy, Jeff Weinseer, that does all the restaurant inspections.
Yep.
Right? He sees a roach crawling in the street, and the next thing you know, hey, what are you doing about these violations, right? He's like the Mike Wallace of food. He's the last guy that you want to see showing up, a local reporter here in South Florida. And he does all these restaurant investigations to see who's got more cockroaches and, who's got more violations. But no, that would be an ugly scene. So fortunately, Mayo's idea of hanging dead rats from the ceiling at Shenanigans tonight was rejected. But that doesn't mean that it won't be a very inviting place to be tonight as we watch. Well, I mean, it's going to be nervous time, I think, Libby. They go down 0-2 at home. And the Caps, pretty savvy team. I mean, this is no slouch team. It isn't like the traditional 1 versus 8 matchup because of the cockamamie scheme that Gary Bettman and his people came up with to conduct the postseason in the National Hockey League. And I don't think anybody really understands it. Does anybody know what the hell is going on there? Why are the Panthers, as the number 1 seed and the President's Cup winner and the best team in hockey, playing a team that isn't half bad? They should be playing the worst schlep team out of the East. And yet they're in there against a very formidable opponent in the Capitals, and it behooves them tonight to even that series at 1 apiece. Very lackluster game. You were right about that, Lubie. You know what? You pinpointed something as a hockey expert yesterday on the show that was overlooked by a lot of people, and that is This is a team that was firing like 50 shots on goal each period.
Yeah, it was annoying.
And they're getting outshot by like a dozen by the Washington Capitals, who weren't playing that aggressive of a game. They were sort of like playing within themselves, as a saying goes. And it wasn't like that they were going crazy and just firing arbitrary shots at Bobrovsky. And yet they had outshot the Panthers through, I guess they did it through the entire game, but through a couple of periods, even though the Panthers were leading, they were being outshot like almost 2-1. So that's very uncharacteristic. This was an aggressive team. We'll see if they get back to that tonight. And without a victory tonight, I think it's time to start looking at the menu and saving some money for that dinner at Runway 84. The towel isn't completely in. The flowers aren't automatically, wilting in the punch, but it's not going to be pleasant. If you lose the first two on a home ice, where you were dynamite all season long. Now, they were also a very good road team. And we have seen it, and I mentioned this before, and I want to say this is accurate, Lubie. This is strictly from a very dementia-oriented recollection. But when the Capitals won their Stanley Cup under Bruce Boudreau a few years ago, I believe they lost the first two at home, and I want to say it was to the Boston Bruins. And then they came back and won that series and went on to win the Stanley Cup. But that was the opening round series. They were down 0-2 at home, and a lot of people were dumping on them, saying, "Oh, look at that. See, they were the best team in hockey, but they're a bunch of choking dogs." And as soon as that was written, I know if I had been inclined to at the time make this kind of wager, I would have jumped on the in-series wagering and emptied out on the Washington Capitals, who did come back, distinguish themselves, won the series, and then went on and won it all. Now, I don't know if the Panthers are capable of winning it all. We shall see, but I believe they have to probably win this game tonight. No, would you say this is under the heading of must-win, pivotal game 2?
Yes, and look, Andy Man just posted it on the chat on the video stream. But like, this team is different. Like, this is an organization that goes to the playoffs every year. This is an organization that has a backing. This is the opposite. They don't go to the playoffs ever. Whenever they've gone outside of 1 year, they lose in the first round. There is this sentiment around town. That's why people still around town don't care about them. Is they're going to lose. So if somehow they get down 0-2, the weight of all that, they can say they're different, it's a new team, this and that. All that will carry if they get down 0-2. 0-1's one thing, fine, and I'm the only one that's really freaking out. 0-2 is a whole different story, man. Like, you get down 0-2, you go back to Washington. That's a tough hill to climb, especially with the team that did win the Cup 4 years ago.
Well, and you now have to win 4 out of 5
exactly
against a team that just beat you twice in a row on your home ice. So it makes it very, very prohibitive. I mean, all of a sudden you have zero margin for error. My anticipation is this, that the Panthers will win tonight, and they'll come back from Washington deadlocked at 2-2, regain home ice advantage, and it'll be a best-of-3 series, and I'm going to say Cats in 6.
Yeah,
but we will have to see an indication tonight that the team that's going to be in the postseason was the team that we saw all season long, which was not characteristic. That performance that they had on Monday night Tuesday night was not characteristic of the way the team played all year. They were dynamite when they were ahead, 30-0 when leading going into the third period. And I believe that was all season, and going back to even last season, 30-0 when leading going into the third period. And then when they weren't leading going into the third period, they're the most dynamite comeback cardiac kids team that we may have seen in any sport, as they would overcome 3-4 goal deficits in the third period, come back and win games in overtime and even in regulation. And they were just piling up goals, late in contests that they were trailing in, and often running away from the opposition in the third period. So they did none of that, and we'll see if they can turn that around tonight. But that's my anticipation. The watch party is at Shenanigans. That's in Dania, and it's on Federal Highway, a little bit south of the airport. If you're in town, and if you just want to join us, if you're watching from somewhere else in the world, fly into South Florida, come to the watch party, and we'll see what happens. It'll be a very smug Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, who's going to be with us tomorrow on the show. And wow, I mean, if they're down 0-2 and we have to put up with Mayo tomorrow,
I know
that is not going to be pleasant. Not going to be pleasant at all. All right, now this is interesting. Speaking of Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, and restaurant experiences. So I love these stories of Lubie recognition, because Lubie's been working with me. It's 12 years now.
12 years, man.
Coming up in July, we'll complete 12 years together. Now, 11 and change of those we're at a local radio station in South Florida. Well, actually, and then we ended up on a couple of radio stations, and of course, everything is syndicated around the world now.
Yep.
It's sort of a given with all the different technology. You can catch us here on Ion Channel all around the world. Any of our stuff, our Believe podcast, the 5 Reasons, all around the world. Whatever you do, it's all over the place. You're no longer limited to whatever the strength of the signal is on the outlet that you're performing on. Where I can't hear you in the next county. I'm getting nothing but static. Remember that? I mean, the station that we were on was a 50,000 watt blowtorch, our main outlet for the 11 previous years, and yet it had a horrible nighttime signal.
Yes.
Which was weird because, this was FCC regulations where stations have to power down because they didn't want all that interference. There was a wonderful era of radio that you kind of missed where stuff would just bleed in from out of state when you got into the nighttime hours. This had to do with like interference from Cuba and Mexico and all of this other stuff. But they had stations limit their power, and it became more directional, the signal. And the radio station that we were on, under the cover of darkness, was not particularly widespread in terms of the radius of the coverage area. And so we hated it when we went to daylight savings, remember?
Yeah.
Because half the show would get obliterated in most of the local area. And that's why we were happy when they pulled out that small syndication deal with the station of Palm Beach, and it kind of straightened that problem out a little bit. Although it wasn't exactly the most well-promoted move that iHeartMedia had made, was it? I mean, did you see any billboards of you and me? Nothing, right? No. I don't even think they had a promo on the other station that mentioned our names. And they had no other programming on there, which essentially they had no other programming of any great significance, although our buddy the Greek was on briefly in the afternoons, and that kind of helped things along because at least you had a couple of local shows. But, the idea of broadcasting all around the world sort of has expanded to where anybody that's on the air anywhere, including Mike Mayo's Lunchbox on a very limited signal radio station here in South Florida. We do that from 12 to 1 every day. Had Kate and Breda on the show yesterday, by the way. And, wow, that's going to be very, very interesting to see what she's picked up in the last couple of days when we have her on tomorrow. She says this Japanese horse is working like a freak. I think it's the 12 ball, the horse that was racing, campaigning in Japan, trained by Japanese interests and owned by, it's not uncommon to see Japanese money in thoroughbred racing or any sport for that matter. But she says the horse is working like a freak. I don't know what that means, Lubie, in terms of your ability to cash a ticket on that. But Kate and we'll have all of this for us coming up tomorrow. But interesting talking to her yesterday. Yeah. On the Mike Mayo Lunchbox. And she even got involved in this debate with Mayo about the Panther bet and what's going to happen there. She's still behind the Cats. Mike's hedging now and saying that, I'm rooting for the Panthers, but of course, you bet with your head, not your heart. What a bunch of bullshit that is, huh? Now, you're in a restaurant last night, though, speaking of restaurants, and what was your review? This is an iconic place known throughout the world. I mean, does every city have a signature restaurant?
Oh, yeah.
Where, you say, okay, Chicago, and what is it? Is it Gibson's there or something like that? I'm not sure. But, New York would be what? Peter Luger's people mention a lot. Peter Luger's Steakhouse.
New York has
Los Angeles, you think Spago, right, is the first one that pops in your head, even though I've never been there. But South Florida, Joe's Stone Crabs would probably be... It would have to be the most iconic restaurant that's anywhere in the state of Florida or even in the Southeast.
I mean, the Burns has a really good...
That's in Tampa, yeah, but it doesn't compare to Joe's in terms of familiarity.
I'll give that to you. You know more than I do. I don't know. I know Joe's has just a different level of renown, but people are sort of...
I was more inclined in Tampa, and I spent a lot of time there doing sports coverage over my lifetime. Tampa, Florida, which is... It's not exactly around the corner. It's like a 4-hour pop by car and maybe 40 minutes by plane, whatever. But, Burns Steakhouse is number one. But it was Mons Venus lunch buffet at probably the biggest, most well-known strip club in the state. I could give you a review of that. I never ate at Burns Steakhouse, believe it or not. The zillion times that I was in Tampa, Florida, never was compelled to go to a Burns Steakhouse. But Joe's Stone Crabs I've been to. I mean, when I first moved here, My first wife, we were, just getting together, and we went to Joe's a couple of times and been to any number of occasions that were held there in terms of press conferences and things of that nature, including the last one I remember was when Ralph Sanchez had the Grand Prix of Miami, which is now back. This is a big event taking
That's
place
huge.
here
I
over the
didn't
weekend,
realize.
and I can't believe the steam on this because I'm not inclined to have any interest in it whatsoever. Not a big car racing guy. But I mean, I would imagine our good friend IndyCar Ruben. I don't know if he's picked up the new show here since we left the radio airwaves, but it's been 6 months. IndyCar. No, I think he did. He called in, did he not? One time, IndyCar Ruben.
We've had IndyCar. Yeah, I think IndyCar found us. NASCAR and IndyCar. I think it both found us. Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of like polo on wheels, isn't it? In terms of the type of people that are interested in this, but the interest is massive.
Yes.
And supposedly is going to generate more input into the community here in terms of visitors and financial windfall than even a Super Bowl being held here. Can you imagine that? I see. I find that almost impossible to conceive of.
Well, it's weird because I've noticed the last 6 months, a lot of buddies of mine and people of my age and a little younger posting about F1, and I'm like, who gives a shit about F1? I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
The new MMA?
Emerson Fittipaldi. I mean, what are we talking about here?
I don't know. I'm like, I'll see little things on Twitter, this and that, and I'm like, okay, am I that old? I haven't ever watched F1. Even NASCAR, I at least knew the drivers. I know there's the one guy that wins a lot with Hamilton or whatever. The one guy that
the British guy, man. Yeah, no, he's an interesting cat, man.
But it's I'm like, and I know we're supposed to know about sports, and I get it. And Jim's going to give me a lot of crap, Sarney. You should talk about the hockey in the Northwest too. I get it, Jim. But I've never cared about F1, and no, it's like Australian rules football to me. But it's massively popular now. It's freaking weird. It's gotten super popular.
Yeah, I'm going to generate. I think. Were they saying a crowd's going to be is it 80,000 that this thing is going to be able to accommodate? I'm not sure. I don't want to get the numbers all askew here, but the input and the impact on South Florida economically is going to be supposedly eclipsing anything that any of the Super Bowls that have been held here. Have we had 11 Super Bowls in South Florida over the years? I mean, in its origins, it was part of a regular 3-site circuit, and then it became more complicated as the NFL realized, hey, we can hold these guys hostage and make them build new stadiums for teams that don't even exist, and we'll offer them a Super Bowl in the first couple of years after the stadium is built. Hence, the fact that you will see one in Las Vegas, the idea that they actually had a Super Bowl in Minnesota, which was a mistake. The one in New York was obviously a capitulation to the fact that they were doing some kind of massive refurbishing there of what was MetLife Stadium. I'm not sure what it's called today. Is it still MetLife? I don't know. The insurance company's making enough money probably to stick their name up there into perpetuity. But did you see any of the circuit there? Did you notice the influx and infusion of this type of international jet setter that was going to be on the Grand Prix scene when you ate last night at Joe's Stone Crabs? And the reason I bring this up is because I love Lubie recognition stories. So you're in there looking like some schlep from Plantation down there on South Beach with all the glitz and glamour that is surrounding this area there. And you go to the iconic restaurant Joe's Stone Crabs. And what happened now, Lubie? I hope you weren't picking up the check.
We offered my uncle, who actually.
Did you go to faint thing where you go to your pocket and go, hey, what do you need on that?
No, see, Shirley's great because Shirley will. So I can't do the face. Shirley will actually grab a card and hold it out. So I have to do that too. We both.
But it's a shell card. I mean, what are you talking about? You can't use that there.
It's mobile. So my uncle, who used to be at all the Radio Rows, you've actually met him a few times. Worked the PR with Humana. He always. So he was down here. He's lived here his whole life, and then moved to St. Pete for most of my life. And then the last few years, they've retired, he and his wife, to Asheville. So when we were up in Asheville with her family, he met him out for dinner. So he's wanted to take us out for a while. He's took us out a few times, but we've never gone to Joe's. And I'm actually spoiled because of this business that I've never eaten in Joe's, but I've had their stone crabs more times than I can count. And literally when they would bring the trough of stone crabs to the station, it would be, so to me, the stone crabs themselves weren't the biggest deal, but the idea of going to Joe's was a huge deal. So the season supposedly ended May 1st. So we weren't sure if they'd have stone crabs, but the place was packed. So I was like, okay, this place is gonna be packed if they don't have stone crabs, which they did, which was cool. And it was a really great time, and the food was spectacular, and the crowd is a little different, and it's very old school. But the server all night long was like looking at me weird, and I've had this over the years, but I still don't recognize it for what it ends up being. I always think of it as I'm an asshole. I ask a lot of dumbass
You're
questions.
saying, well, what is this white trash doing at Joe Stonecrabs? Where did they get the money? They must be drug dealers. Yes.
Like people usually just go get, like everyone around I'm noticing is all eating the same thing, and they're not talking. Like they don't ask questions. They don't do what you would do at a normal restaurant. It's just assume what you're gonna get. Like
How many stone crabs do I get for $75?
You
Are
don't
they
ask-
big ones?
exactly. Like
You didn't
just,
do all of that at Joe
Not-
Stonecrabs. What a disgrace.
I just asked because I'm not Mr. Stone. We've joked on here about Stone Crabs.
It's
being
like going to
overrated.
Rayo's and asking what's in the sauce. I mean, you just don't do that.
I get it. But I'm not Mr. Stone Crab. So it was like, surely let her and my uncle get it, but I didn't really care. So I asked, what are some of the other things people would get here? And the guy pushed me toward this other thing that was really good. But he kept looking at me weird all night. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Whatever. So as my uncle's paying the check, the guy finally is like, you're Lubie, aren't you? And my uncle, my wife.
Voice recognition on Lubie, or is he watching the video stream? Perhaps
No,
he
he
became
wasn't.
a fan of Ion Channel here.
Straight voice. And he's like, you're Lubie, I know it. And I'm like, I'm Lubie. Yes, I'm Lubie. And he's like, I know that voice from anywhere. He's like, we love you, but it sucked what happened. I'm like, it didn't suck what happened. We're happy what we're doing now. He's like, I know you're doing podcasts. And I went to the whole thing, like 10 minutes of explaining and telling him our websites and telling him. I'm like, but in the end, it's not hard to find us. Like people have this idea that it's like magic, it's mythical. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just easy as before. And the guy was super excited. And he's like, you made my night. I miss you guys. It's the best way to wake up in the morning.
Did you get this gentleman's name?
I had his
No,
name
of
as
course
a server, and I
He
forgot.
recognizes you. No, that's okay though, Louis, because you have so many fans that it would be
there you go.
impossible to
Oh, he's a great dude.
name everybody who had said, "Hey, you're Lubie."
But good morning to you, sir. If you did find us, he said he was
I
really
remember when we first met Jack, and he looked right at you, and he said, "Hey, you're Lubie," but he had a whole different
It was different.
mindset in terms of
you're the asshole that's gonna make my
how
life
he
easier.
perceived you to be as a human being. Yeah, and rightfully so after that first meeting.
Wasn't
That was
wrong.
ugly. Yeah, I was ready to kill you. I really was.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a job, and you were talking our way out of one. That wasn't good. You know, we needed a new system, and we needed it fast. All right, so he recognizes you, and he was a fan of the show.
Big fan of the show. Like literally was like sad. He's like, it was the best way to wake up in the morning. I'm like, well, we're still doing it every morning.
Yeah,
Easy
this
to
was a guy at
find.
Joe Stonecrab. Oh, nice.
He was a long time server, and I think he was like a higher up, and he was stone cold the whole night until the minute I admitted I was Lubie, and then he was like a little kid. It was really weird. Like he was like the sweet, kind, funny dude, cracking jokes. I was showing him pictures of you. He was asking about the stain. I was talking about the walk of life. He's like, "Oh, of course, the walk of life." I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "How's this person and that person?" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess he's like this is." And my wife, Shirley, and my uncle are like beaming, like this is the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, I just
Shows
feel
you,
bad. I just feel
level
bad.
of stardom, level of recognition here.
I'm like, I
Well,
wish
it's
I
nice to be recognized for this kind of work. I mean, look, most of the time that you're involved, the management there was particularly hideous. They never said a positive thing in 11 years, right? We'd have like Lawrence Taylor in an exclusive interview. We played the clips. First guys to get him on Radio Row, and do we get any kind of a message there from up? Not that you need it, but let's face it, performers are super sensitive.
Yes.
We need love. We need love. So that was good. I mean, that recognition, I applaud that. And very nice to know that we have that kind of fan. It never ceased to amaze me.
Yeah.
Because, everybody would say, like, the ratings for that station were super low, which they were because they had really no other local programming for most of the time we were there. And it's impossible. You could be the worst guy at the best station.
Yes.
And you're going to have higher ratings than the best guy at some station that doesn't really have any kind of organized plan to attract an audience. That's just the way it is, right? I mean, let's say they had 1 million, let's say Ozark was airing on Ion Channel and we followed that. Guess what? We probably have a big number, right? But, you need a little bit of a surrounding and supporting cast there. So it always amazed me how many people, and I get this all the time too, as you might imagine, about, hey, where are you now? And this and that. Are you still on the air? A lot of people question whether I was still alive or not. The walk of life has been my connection there, though. It's kept me going. I firmly believe that the minute I stop doing that, I will check out. So I'm resigned to the idea that no matter what kind of schlep it seems like, I'm going to have to get out there. And there's sometimes I don't even get to the street here, like A1A. It's about a tenth of a mile from my house to the street.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, geez, I have another 4.1 miles to go.
Oh, that's the worst.
And I'm already a dead man. You have to motivate yourself sometimes to rise to bigger things, much like we're trying to do with this business. All right, well, I applaud that. And then you didn't have the stone crabs, is what you said, because you didn't want to bury your uncle, but you ended up ordering something that was more expensive, which I find somewhat surprising because, our question was always, and it doesn't really apply anymore, because right now you would have to say that the stone crab is more overrated than Bryce Harper.
He's won 2 MVPs.
After he won the MVP last year.
Again.
Yeah. That was a very relevant question for a long period of time. What's more overrated, the stone crab or Bryce Harper? Now, the stone crab is mostly overrated because of the now absolutely skyrocketing price that you had to pay to eat a couple of stone crabs. And you have to ask yourself, where do I draw the line, right?
That's the thing.
Like the stuff's good, right? Somebody puts a stone crab in front of me, I'm inclined to eat it.
Oh yeah.
If it's reasonably priced, which I don't, what is reasonable now? But you look in Publix and they got these little tiny stone crabs and they're $40 a pound, and I'm thinking that's where I'm out. I'm out on that. Yeah.
I agree.
Just give me the imitation crab that was made from some carp that was caught in a lake in Merrick, Long Island. And I'll let that suffice. You dip anything in drawn butter, Lubie, it pretty much tastes the same, doesn't it?
Well, especially that thing, the stuff they have,
You
whatever.
can dip a hot dog in drawn butter and think you're eating stone crab.
And I'm not spinning at it. They actually, it is a really cool experience, and I had a really good time, and they definitely have earned their name, and everything we had was delicious. But yeah, it's like for 4 jumbos, it's $129.
Yeah, it's like that $100 steak that I had at Gordon Ramsay's steakhouse. Now, I was on the dime of Harrah's in Atlantic City, so it went down pretty pleasantly. But you were thinking, wow, if I was picking up this check for 2 people, I just would have got whacked for $250 for a steak and a piece of chicken. You got to be kidding me, right? And then, of course, those 3, I mean, just absolutely hideous French words that you could string together, a la carte. But Joe's has some reasonably priced stuff also. I mean, and it's not the only item that they have on the menu, the stone crabs. They have some other things. And anyway, congratulations on that, Lubie. That's good. And it's very heartening. And I hope this gentleman whose name you forgot is tuned in today and tells all of his friends about it. Because that's what we need. We need a word-of-mouth, grassroots campaign on this thing. I'm convinced of that. Or else we need DraftKings to take a look at a Degenerate Friday show, which I think maybe that's happening, and say, you know what, this is pretty good. That'd be great. We don't want to, give you our whole itinerary here on the show, but we do have. We're having a nervous moment here because of this Panther game tonight. So that's happening in hockey now. Elsewhere, as they say in sports, right?
30 minutes in.
You go elsewhere in sports. Now, I wrote down the scores from last night's hockey games here because, Carolina's up 2-0 on Boston. They won the first 2 home games. They shellacked Boston again last night, 5-2. Tampa Bay, most of the teams rebounded that had lost. Tampa Bay was on the road in Toronto, but came up with a 5-3 victory. They dominated that that hockey game. You had Minnesota-St. Louis. Minnesota lost the first game at home, but they came back and blasted the Blues 6-2 last night, and Edmonton on top of the LA Kings 6-0. And did LA win the first game in that series and Edmonton even it up? I think that also now stands at 1-1. The Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins go tonight. That game drawing a lot of interest after the triple overtime game. And where do you weigh in on that debate, Lubie, about the purity of the game and the sanctimony of the overtime period? Now, we had huge debates about that with football. I think they blew it. I mean, I don't know why. Why is it that you don't look at – and I'm going against that theory that I used in the NFL for my overtime solution to playoff hockey. Because I do like the excitement of the 3-on-3 when they go to that, and it still is representative of what the game is basically all about. It's not like you went to a field goal kicking contest or penalty kicks in soccer. You're still playing hockey. You're just doing it with less guys on the ice. And after being even through 60 minutes of hockey, you have every chance to win the game. If you want to go to a bit of a fluke system, I would equate it with the tiebreaker in tennis, Lubie.
Okay.
which I think has been such a great salvation for the game, even if you're playing with your friends, right? And every now and then you'll have somebody say, well, let's go the traditional way. I don't like the tiebreaker. It's like, well, the tiebreaker's been in existence since like 1970. What are you talking about? You don't like the tiebreaker. And the tiebreaker would be the equivalent of playing sometimes even more than 2 games, depending on how many points it goes, because you have to win by 2. But it's far better in deciding the outcome of the event than subjecting people to the possibility of a John Isner and Nicholas Mahut match where, those guys went, 69 to 67. In the fifth set at Wimbledon, it took 5 days to complete, and then whoever won the match, and it turned out to be Isner, has to go and just get cremated in his next match. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can't do that. So 3 overtime periods in the first game of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs is too much, especially if you have to endure this again. I would say, if you want to preserve that for the final round, maybe the Stanley Cup Finals, but just go to the, maybe not the shootout, but stick with the, maybe 4-on-4 until somebody scores. Go to one of the systems that you used in the regular season.
Okay,
to conclude the game.
The NHL playoff overtime, and I missed this the other day. I was watching the pain.
It's just straight up sudden death.
Okay, but they don't do the 3-on-3. They just
it's a regular period. They start out, you're continuing the game into a fourth period, and in this case, they ended up into a 6th period.
That's stupid.
And now they're coming back a couple of nights later, and some people would argue, oh well, they're built for this, but you know what? If you see, how exhausted these guys are after being on the ice for like 1 minute and 40 seconds, and these shifts are short in the National Hockey League, and then you look, they have the shot of the guy on the bench, and he's absolutely breathing like he just ran uphill chasing Lance Armstrong down with a syringe, saying, "You forgot to take this, Lance," as he was climbing the Pyrenees at 40 miles an hour. They're exhausted, man.
Yeah, well, there's a reason that a shift is like 1:10.
Yeah,
it's not because they're lame or lazy.
So you ask, these guys to play the equivalent of 2 games on the same night. I don't think it's, at that point, it's not a plus. And I don't know that it really, now you're deciding the game strictly by fatigue. In the end, by the time you get to that point, like which team is not completely gassed. And, you're compromising the next game of the series as well. So I would say go to maybe a 4-on-4. And if you want to really be a purist, it's funny, too, because I hate to use swearing, this early in the morning, but they fucked up this playoff system so badly that nobody understands it. And then they eliminate half of their good teams right away in the first round.
Yeah. Weird.
And a bunch of bag ladies end up having a chance to advance because of the way they set up the matchups. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in terms of a playoff setup in the NHL. So, that'll be the last thing they ever address, right? They'll never go away from that. But
that's what's funny is, and the shootouts became sort of annoying, and the ties. So that's why they went to the shootout. Were annoying. So they went to 3-on-3, which has actually been like baseball with that extra playoff team.
Great, yeah.
Great. Like the 3-on-3s are great. It makes hockey. You can hate
still hockey. Yeah, it's still hockey, right?
It's so fun. Like it doesn't go on forever. Someone scores pretty quick. It's really fun. Like why? I don't know. Oh, because what is it bastardized? It's the same game but funner. Like why would you not do that and then play? I don't understand that at all. Like that's weird.
I'm not sure funner is a word.
I know it's not. It's more exciting. It makes it really exciting. Like why would you take that away in the playoffs? Like, I don't understand that. That just seems like Bettman and that hockey, hitting themselves. Like, that's just dumb. I don't get it.
Well, it's the way they've done it all along. I mean, they changed it for the regular season. Now in the NFL, our theory, I will stick with this to my grave, Lubie, which might be, coming up sooner than I would care to think. Thank God for the walk of life. But, you saw us. I mean, how bad did we look out there doing that little tennis thing? You only saw one crummy point, though.
He looked fine to me.
Yeah.
I haven't played in a long time, so.
Yeah.
Bad judge.
Chasing the ball down, right? I mean, it's not like we're standing still out there. It was kind of a radical point, man. A just man puts one away with a slam, and it's crazy to think that you would have to endure that, even as a fan. I mean, who the hell wants to sit there for 6 periods?
No, no.
That's just nuts. Now in the NFL, and for whatever reason, that they wouldn't even consider this, and that is just continue the game. That's logical in football. Continue the game from where it was, and that's all you have to do, and it solves the whole problem and the whole debate about whether both teams should get the ball. Because okay, the clock ran out, but guess what? We're going to start a clock all over again, and when somebody scores, they're going to win the game. And so, you could be in a very solid position going into overtime. You could be in a crummy position, but you shouldn't necessarily be in an equal position if you want to decide the game fairly. Why start a new game and then have a different set of rules that apply, which seem to be very inequitable to the team that loses the coin toss? Now, they've guaranteed that each team is going to have a possession now. That's been the big change. And I don't think that really solves the problem as easily and as just inherently logically as you would if you just continue the game. No,
just go.
Well, and you say that. Remember when we first laid that out there to Jason Cole, who thought we were always joking about everything we said, which for the most part we are. But let's face it, no one's ever going to address that because it's too simple of a concept to embrace.
Yeah, they hate that.
They have all these geniuses. No, seriously, Lubie, think about this. The NFL has like a zillion guys on the payroll that sit around in New York and decide, all year long, right? Remember when they wanted to have year-round officials when they only play 6 months a year?
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Study the rules? I mean, if they don't know it, they should be on the field in the first place. Get better eyesight? Train to have better judgment? It's it was a ridiculous concept. I mean, just get better officials. That's what you have to do. I mean, train them better whenever you're working with them. Go ahead and rate them on a regular basis, and actually get involved and say, hey, well, if this guy's blowing call after call, we don't need him anymore. Get him out of here.
Honestly,
you don't see officials getting fired very often in national football or any league for that matter. Wow.
They hang out.
But yeah, that would be the simple solution. It'll never happen. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs. Also, Scoop Skolnick going to join us at 8 o'clock. One of the greats from 5 Reasons Sports Network. He started this thing, and now he has something else, man. This is the guy that we ought to attach our coat to.
Well, I'm trying to use him as an example. Is what I'm using him for. We're going to hopefully keep working along with him and learn from him.
Brilliant analysis of the Heat, but I don't know how there isn't an even deeper scathing indictment against Doc Rivers after watching a completely inept lack of inside game once again lead the 76ers to ruin last night as the Heat win 119-103 over Philadelphia. Game was close for a while through the first half. I actually turned it off and started watching the rest of Ozark season 4, which was great. Brilliant acting in that show, by the way. The girl that plays Ruth Langhorne, his name escapes me.
She's great. She was in the.
She's nothing like that, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's acting, right? The look and everything. I mean, the whole thing was just absolutely brilliant. But I turned back in to see. I think it was Strus hit a 3 out of the corner to have the Heat go up 13 in the fourth quarter, and that was pretty much it. I mean, you knew that that game was over. So Doc's giving him the first couple of games on a platter like a little knish at a bar mitzvah.
Well, what's funny is this last week we've heard, Embiid's doing better. He's doing better. Possibly game 3, and then they asked him yesterday. So game 3, and he's like, oh no, he hasn't even. He has so many levels of protocols to go through. He hasn't even hit the first one. Okay. Yeah. So when is he? So what?
I mean, look, they're asking this guy for 2 reasons why he has to be able to identify how many fingers do I have up, right? Hey, champ, how many? Because he can't see out of his left eye here, so the ring physician's in there. They got Stitch Duran working on his eyeball while he's there on the sidelines, and then he's got a concussion too. So they ask him, hey, what day is it? And he says, my children are fine. You're like, what? There's a silver alert, and it's got Embiid's license plate out there on the road in Philadelphia.
It's funny. He had a bad concussion and orbital bone fracture. So it's like, Defo's not wrong. What happened in that 4 minutes? Like, what is going on? Like, why was he out there that it was still that tussling with almost a 30-point game? Like, hello?
He sort of just got hit with an inadvertent elbow in the eye as a guy was driving to the basket, but I mean, who on earth would have their number one commodity out on the floor, up 30 with 4 minutes to go, with the game clinched? As I said, he should have been checking his bags at customs.
Yeah, he should have been out of the town.
Should have never been even close to the bench. I mean, they should have been worried that maybe somebody goes falling into the Philadelphia bench. Doc, get him out of here. Just get him out of here. All right, Scoop Skolnick on the Heat and baskets. He's always brilliant. That's coming up at 8 o'clock. Dave Gurgles Gurgly. I'm going to send you the thing that he sent me, Lubie. So
I already
we
talked
can
to
make
him.
sure.
I talked to him.
You did? Okay.
Not at
All
8:30. I already sent him the link. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So that's all set. So the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge will be in place. Now, here's my sporting weekend coming up. We have the watch party tonight with Mike Mayo, which if the Panthers are down, 3-1 after 2 periods, I would have to say I defer to the notion that, well, I have to get up early tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to watch the rest of this game, because who would want to sit with an insufferable rat like Mayo?
No way.
No, he's a good guy.
He's a good dude. He's an asshole. There's no way. And he's
deserving. Oh, he's very pompous about
jerks.
This. I mean, I had to take it all day yesterday on the radio
really?
show. I fired back with everything I had. I even I even said that the officiating was very biased.
Exactly. The refs
favor the Capitals, like a joke of an argument. Yeah. I mean, a caller calls in and says, "Yeah, you know what? The officials really hose us." And you're like, "Well, you know what, Johnny from Miramar, you're a bozo," and then you rip the guy for the next half hour, and that's your show. I was using those. Well, you know what? That icing call that they missed. Like, I know whether the icing iced this.
We're desperate when we're bitching about refs in hockey.
Refs, yeah, and hockey refs. Man, they call a lot of penalties. You know what? If you looked at it. I'm telling you, Marty, this team is getting jobbed.
Oh, my God. They better win.
Very pathetic state of mind to be in. That's what happens when you got a big mouth and you start losing a bet. So I give Mayo all the liberty he wants. I mean, if he's up 2-0 when he comes on the show tomorrow, I'll just give him the whole show. Because
it's
no point in us coming back with anything. It's like an argument with your wife, right? What's the point of coming back with something?
Yeah.
You think she's buying your argument? Of course not. That's why you're fighting in the first place.
Exactly.
That is one of the lamest things, though. I mean, there are examples where teams get hosed, right? What was it? Was it the Rams a couple of years ago? No, the Saints. Remember when the Saints got hosed by the Rams?
Yeah. That's interference. Yep.
Oh, my God. And of course, the famous, Larry Coker thing where, you had the University of Miami. You win a ball game, and the game was over. And then that guy who was from Ohio comes running across the field there and calls pass interference and puts the ball on a 1-yard line. They get to do it again. That was absolutely insane. All right, Scoop Skolnick coming up. Dave Gurgles Gurgly, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Great weekend coming up. The watch party tonight. I'm going to the weigh-in tomorrow at Hialeah Park. I love being around a boxing game and a boxing scene. It's a whole different culture, Lubie. You talk about a sporting culture that has its own uniqueness that, is very, very enjoyable to be a part of and to be around. I mean, you see the anxiety with the fighters. You see some guys are real confident. They have to get on a scale there. Guys like 1.5 pounds over, and they tell him, you got 20 minutes. And he's going to, lose the weight. Or then a series of negotiations takes place. There's no sport like this, right? Guy steps on the scale. This is part of the great thing about, I've attended many, many weigh-ins in my lifetime when I was covering a lot of boxing on TV. And so, you go there to kind of talk to everybody, meet the fighters. Now the guy gets on the scale, and he's supposed to weigh 130. He's 131 on a hook. And they tell him, you got, I guess you get 2 hours to lose the weight. And they're just going to wait there until you come back. Like, everybody's waiting for 2 hours while this guy goes to, various saunas and steam rooms.
Oh, my God, are you kidding? What?
He comes back and he's still over the weight, and you're like, oh my God.
Well, duh. But the thing was, he's going to cut off his.
This guy, probably ate one grape all day. The old Lafitte pink guy diet. But then, when his team absolutely knows there's no way that this guy's going to make the weight, right? I mean, he already dropped 10 pounds yesterday, and he doesn't have an ounce of fluid left in his body. He can't even pee anymore. And so they'll just start negotiating, right? Like the fighter from the camp where the guy weighed in at the limit says, all right, I tell you what, 10,000, and we'll go ahead and allow you that 1.5 pounds. And then they go, what are you talking about 10,000, 5,000? And it's like they're selling a piece of salami, man. It's
Exactly.
unbelievable. That was not a penis reference, by the way,
No, he said no.
because I had mentioned, like urinating.
I got it.
Yeah, so it's crazy. I love being around it, and then you get the vibe for the fight night, which is going to be Saturday night at Hialeah Park, and then that's going to be my Derby double, going to Hialeah Friday for the weigh-in, and then right back to Hialeah for the Derby, and of course the big fight card that's coming up on May the 7th. Whatever tickets are still available, I would grab them now. I would log on to HialeahPark.com and get involved, and this is going to create quite a buzz. Now you're in, right? And
Yes,
I'm trying to get Andy in. Andy, who says that. Okay, and Andy says James Harden looks like a fat chucker.
I mean, he does.
At this point.
He does.
Which was the worst kind of chucker, a little fat guy chucking.
Chucker.
Doesn't make a shot, goes 3 for 13 from 3 or whatever.
Shooting, though. He's the first guy to shoot.
You're thinking, listen, you fat putz, you throw one more shot up there like that, and I'm going to fire the ball in your face, right? You're going to have Spalding written on your forehead.
They do nothing else. Play no defense. They don't run to the other end.
Nothing.
And shoot every time. Every time.
Cherry picking. Here.
Every time.
Come on, Jimmy. Drop
That
a
is
couple
Harden.
pounds.
That feels like Harden.
He did look bloated. I mean, I saw him at the post-game press conference, and he was stating, very, very confidently that, well, we played a good game tonight. It's like, James, you got beat by 20, man, or whatever. I don't know. I mean, they played a decent first half. That was about it while the Heat were fooling around. Anyway, there's no fooling around. This is going to be a lot of stuff on the line. Saturday night, inside the ring, it's going to be a spectacular Hialeah Park. Nobody does it like Hialeah Park. Tony was on with us yesterday, and he's absolutely right. When Frankie's behind something, Frank Fiore, like event organization and things like that, it's his baby, man. I mean, this guy is ready to rock and roll. So I can't wait. I got the watch party of the night, weigh in at Hialeah Park in a champion simulcasting room. That's taking place, and I'll be punching away. Of course, Churchill Downs has the Kentucky Oaks, and great cards of racing all around the country, even on Friday, tomorrow, a Degenerate Friday, which it will definitely be for me. And then Saturday night, there for the Derby, which I think that goes off like very late, like 6:57 or something like that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, we might even miss one of the prelims. Betting the Derby.
That's crazy.
Wow. And then it looks like spectacular weather is on tap as well.
Yes.
So going to be a great night under the stars there watching the fights. Get your tickets, people. I can't tell you. Lubie knows because, you always thought I was full of shit when I would tell you how great it is to go to a live boxing match and how, the fact that it was going to be in Hialeah was going to be tremendous. And you're like, Hialeah, I don't want to go down there. And then, you went, and it was just unbelievable.
That was great. That was such a
unbelievable.
We did it twice. It was a great time every time. I mean, it's not just Frankie. They have a crew of people, a cast of characters.
Oh man, did they do a dynamite
great job?
Man.
But Frankie's one we know and we see, and it's just funny.
He's got a mental checklist, Frankie. That's what I love about this guy.
See him work and it's like, hey, Frankie.
Did I leave the tickets for the Brunettis? That's always the thing, right? The one detail that you would never want to bungle is like the last thing that you could. Oh yeah. No, John got in, no problem.
Yeah.
Steve's here too. All right, we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a great event, and we love Frank Fiore, and I'm looking forward to seeing him out there at Hialeah Park tomorrow because he'll be all over it. Like if you should come down for this if you can. I know it's a little bit of a schlep, but it's going to be worth it because. You know what? If you would drive a half hour anywhere, the extra 10, 15 minutes for me to get down to Hialeah, once you're there, it's just absolutely worth it. And then I like like I said, the weigh-in is sometimes a very fascinating. It can be very dreadfully boring, as it takes place, or completely fascinating. I mean, it goes a lot of different ways. You never know exactly what you're going to get, but I like when some kind of volatility is sparked.
I was going to say, isn't that where usually the fight happens? Where they're like, "Screw you! I'm going to eat your ear."
See, that's a lot of stage stuff there, yeah. But every now and then you got a guy that's just out of control, like the anxiety of the moment gets to him, and it sparks some kind of ridiculous inner rage, which might be a cover up for the fact that the guy's running a little bit scared. Let's face it, there's a lot at risk and at stake. In these matches. So going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, our guys will be out there, Leon and Louis de Cubas and Henry Rivalta. So these are people that were always very, very good to me and getting me jobs in the business. So I really appreciate it. It'd be nice to see everybody on the boxing scene again at Hialeah Park. And don't forget about Saturday night. Get your tickets. Line up. It's going to be a spectacular evening. And as Lubie would say now, with this Lubie recognition factor, he's more than willing to, stop and say hello. Right?
Oh, for sure.
You're not the kind of star that's going to walk in there and just shine everybody.
I think you're my best friend. That's when I turn into Visser Mama. She does that with everyone. I'm sort of an asshole, but if you actually know that we do a radio show or whatever that you call this.
I mean, when I say Lubie, I want you to, say hello to John Brunetti Jr. Don't say, I don't have time for this. I got to get to my seat.
All of them. I'm a big fan of anyone. But if you're a listener or a watcher now,
I can see this. It scares me about you. It does. All right.
Everyone.
All right. More to come. You don't need my analysis on this Heat game because you all know how I feel about it now. And that is, and I was looking forward to seeing, what the Heat. Would you like your team to have a gimme into the third round of the playoffs?
Yes.
Of course you would.
I would.
And thank you, Doc Rivers. And
yes.
am I wrong? In overemphasizing this idea that because it was a shock when you think about it. That you would have a guy who had struggled with injuries through the series, right? I mean, he was somewhat suspect. They lost the 2 games, and there was a tremendous. I mean, you talk about high anxiety. It was Mel Brooks City, man, Philadelphia.
Didn't he either have a broken or torn? Because remember, I was overseas, but a broken or torn thumb, and didn't his back start bothering him? And he was still playing well.
And he's always got something, Embiid. You never know if he's going to be in one piece or not. I mean, not like, and he guts it out though. But he is, a bit of a warrior mentality, and he has what I think is a really great approach to his job. And he's a dynamic player. He could easily. Did they name the MVP yet? Because we saw that Tyler Hero got the 6th Man of the Year. Did they name the MVP? I want to say no.
They're working up to it. Okay. I think they did the coach, or we know who the coach is. They've done
the Phoenix guy. Ended up being coach of the year. Phoenix winner last night, by the way.
Yeah, they annihilated him. They did most improved, which was a stupid award because John Moran was already a superstar. So how do you go from being a superstar to a superstar? But whatever. And they did 6 man. So they're working up to. I presume the next one would be MVP. But by all accounts, it's going to be Jokic. But Embiid it's probably going to be Embiid's second, Giannis third. That's what it's going to be.
Possibly, yeah.
You had a guy that was close to winning the MVP playing when the series is done. Okay, whatever, Doc. There's a reason why you
series is clinched. It's over. If they had left the floor, I don't know that if you took 24 seconds out, let's say, per possession, and didn't add any more points to Philadelphia's total, Toronto still wouldn't have been able to eclipse the 29-point deficit if there was nobody on the floor against them. They could have inbounded the ball, laid it in. Taking 24 seconds off the clock, inbounded the ball, laid it in, and they're still going to run 10 points short. I mean, come on. Absolutely insane. All right, we'll ask Scoop Skolnick about that. He's coming on. Scoop, a brilliant entrepreneur, longtime sports writer. And right there, in the dead heat, I would say, with the local sports writer here from the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, Ira Winderman, who really does an outstanding job. I mean, uncovering all kinds of Heat minutia and taking it very seriously into arguments of great breadth and depth. Scoop's great at this, but wow, he always impresses me with his total recall of the 68 Pistons starting lineup. I'm like, you're a kid. What do you know about this, huh? What do you know about Dave Bing, man? Exactly. All right, we're coming back. Scoop Skolnick, and then we'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. So you guys line up 954. That may be a little bit weird because we usually start the Thursday show with that. 954-417-0070, right? Is that right? Or is it 070?
No, you did good at 0070.
070, okay. Sometimes you have the phone number in your head. I mean, it took me a while to get the, any radio station, whenever you change, everybody's always waiting for you to recite the old call letters or, especially give out the old phone number.
Yeah.
See, the problem is when I start giving out my cell phone number as a number to call.
No, don't do that, please.
When you're blanking on the number, that's not good. And this one we haven't run by the people often enough for me to feel badly about forgetting it. 954-417-0070. Doesn't that sound like a number for a bank or something?
Yes, but it is what number I have.
Or a racetrack? Yeah. Hey, what's the number? 417-0070.
Sounded like the easiest one to remember.
Yeah. Laurel Park. You're expecting somebody to pick up the phone. Laurel Park. No, they're racing. They're running the third right now. Sorry, sir. Yeah, okay. Maybe you can get out here by the 5th. Have a nice day. All right, coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
We just kill an hour with a story about Joe Stonecrams. It's 8 o'clock. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
The world, I mean, if my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world has gotten me sugar nut.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. We'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up in about 25 or 6 minutes here on the program. Dave Gurgles Gurgley going to join us from Miami Lakes, and he'll have all of the brain-busting questions that we usually pose here on the program. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz, and we welcome to the show. And this happened with Dave Hyde yesterday, who's been out covering all of the local sporting events here in South Florida late night. He's alternating between the Heat and the Panthers, so it's night after night. And we welcome one of his contemporaries, although it's interesting because, Lubie, I don't know, you don't really get a newspaper that you read, that you put in the hand there. But I'm always looking for one more page in the sports section. So once I get by the Belmont Park entries, I'm flipping one more page back towards the body of the paper, and I'm hoping there's one more page of sports. And often it falls on the business section. And you'll be reading about like Bezos or Warren Buffett, some acquisition that he made that they made billions on. And, you have, of course, Elon Musk now buying Twitter. And then right underneath those names, there's a reference to Ethan Scoop Skolnick now with everything that he's doing with of course, 5 Reasons Sports Network. And what is this new venture, Scoop, that I mean, this looks like it's put you into that category where your name will be, permanently and indelibly impressed upon business annals forever. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Defo. Very good. Actually, I was talking to Hyatt, and it's funny because he was saying he can't find a physical copy of the newspaper anywhere. Neither can I. Where do you find this thing called a newspaper that I worked for 20-something years?
Yeah, I don't know about the Sun Sentinel or any. I mean, you made the circuit here: Palm Beach Post, Sun Sentinel, Miami Herald. I get a New York Post delivered, and I've said this a few times on the show because it's true. They do a great job of the home delivery, which is somewhat surprising. But they fire the newspaper at the door, and I hear it make a thud at about 5 in the morning. And then I hear the guy cursing in Spanish on his way back to Hialeah because it's the only newspaper delivery in Broward County, I think, that I'm getting right now. All right, let's get it. What is this new thing, though? Fanalytics or something? What's it called? Fanalyst?
Fanalytics. We should have used that, actually. No, it's called Fanalyst. So it's basically what it is it's kind of based on my concept here in Miami, except this is the whole country. So it's an app, and it's actually available right now on the App Store and on Google Play. And, it's not completely, like I said, it's not completely what it's going to be. So we actually got approval earlier than we expected. So at the moment, we're still kind of uploading content from all the other cities around the country. But what's going to be is you can only use it for Miami. And it is basically all your content on that team organized. So whether you're somebody who creates the content, and right now, like, we have a lot of people now who they cover a bunch of different teams all over the place, and so this allows them to sort of filter their teams so that everybody can find their stuff easier than on Twitter. And then also, the Twitter experience there is filtered so that you don't go on Twitter and have to follow. You're following all these different people, and you're getting all this stuff that you don't want. So basically, if you decide to follow Miami Heat on there, all you're going to get is every bit of content you can possibly find, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, blog, just on the Miami Heat. So it's like just a much better following experience for a game, and we're going to have chats on there and all kinds of different stuff. So it's just like a sports content hub, but tailored towards the people who are creating content on this who may not be working for the newspapers or anything like that.
You're a monster in this business, Ethan Skolnick. Who knew? I mean, just absolutely fantastic when you were banging out those articles for the Sun Sentinel that it would evolve into this. And I only wonder, I mean, when they, like they are doing with the Uber guy, I mean, when HBO and, of course, Winning Time makes the portrayal and the, a sort of, a dramatization of your career, that they do a better job of picking somebody to play you than they did in trying to depict Jerry West and Pat Riley.
Everybody always used to say I look like Craig Counsell. I never knew.
Yes, you do.
You look like
you
Counsell.
do. Yes, Craig Counsell, the Brewers manager. Could easily be you, But, I mean, unless Barry Pepper plays the role of Ethan Skolnick, don't allow them to go ahead and do the dramatization. All right, let's get into it. You were there last night, and did Doc Rivers lose this series? And should there be an investigation as to why he had Joel Embiid in that game? And it's easy to dump on a coach. A guy gets injured; it could happen anytime, obviously. But why was this guy in this ball game after being injured throughout the series? And it looked like it was going completely south for Philadelphia. Now they're in just a commanding position. 4 minutes to go, 29-point lead. Should this guy not have been on an airplane on his way to Miami instead of in the ball game at that point?
What's so ridiculous about this is that Kendrick Perkins, who obviously has a relationship with Doc from playing with him in Boston, used the excuse. He blamed it on the media instead of blaming it on Doc. Because he said the media was focusing too much on Doc blowing 3-1 lead. So we kind of did this to him, but he felt he had to keep Joel Embiid in that game, not to blow another series lead. What I'll say is, if you don't have confidence in your own coaching, your own team, to maintain a 29-point lead with 1 minute left in the game, without your superstar, you have other problems. And I mentioned this in game one. With about, with about 4 or 5 minutes left, the Heat were up, I think, 13, and Eric Spoelstra had Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo on the bench. And they're not hurt. So at least, Jimmy's not significantly hurt with the defense. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. And to be honest, it did in many ways cost Philadelphia a chance to be competitive in this series. I don't know, look, I would have picked the Heat anyway. I just think you look at Philadelphia's bench, and it's a train wreck. And Miami's bench is so good, as we saw last night. Not only do you have the sixth man of the year, who's been terrific the last couple of games, but now you can pull a guy off the bench who's your seventh man, who's a two-time All-Star, in Defo, who gave you 19 efficient points last night and great defense. So, I mean, Philadelphia's not pulling those kind of players off the bench. I mean, they're pulling a Korkmaz off the bench. I mean, there's nothing there. So, I don't know that Philadelphia, pushes the series to 7 anyway, but certainly this gave them no chance because their team is so heavily dependent on Embiid the way that they're constructed, and they're not really built now to play through the guards. I love Tyrese Maxey. I think he's going to be an all-star in a couple of years, and I do think that he regret not just drafting him a couple of years ago. You saw Calipari in the building yesterday, and Spoelstra after the game was saying, just give me more Kentucky players. Well, you had one because they could have drafted Taxi 2 years ago to add to this mix with Hero and Band that they already have. But I just, James Harden, to say he's a shell of himself, I mean, the only thing he is maybe he's eating taco shells or something. He is, he's about 30 pounds.
He did look bloated, yeah. One of our, fans and viewers pointed that out on our chat line here. Looked like Butterbean Esh was shooting baskets for the Sixers last night.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you watch him going up against PJ Tucker, who he played with PJ in Houston, and PJ is known because PJ is he's a wide body. Okay, PJ doesn't give you a whole lot of verticality. He gives you, he's horizontal. Okay, Harden is like built thicker than PJ Tucker is right now. He looks like a power forward trying to handle the ball out on the perimeter. And he can't get by anybody. I mean, people know my feelings about James Harden as a superstar, but I didn't think it would be this bad. I mean, he literally, he's hunting for switches to get. He can't get past Bam or Jimmy or Tucker, so he's hunting for switches to try to get Strus or Hero, and he gets the switch, and Max Strus has him in jail the entire series. I mean, and no disrespect to Max, but I mean, if James Harden can't get past Max Strus, what are we doing here? I mean, this is a max player? I mean, it's ridiculous. So, to answer your question, stop playing the series when you let them be there.
Excellent. Scoop Skolnick with us here. Lubie's got something for you, Scoop, and somehow he'll find some way to be dissatisfied with the way the Heat are performing, I think, so far in the series. No? I mean, he's one of those fans. You could win by 20, and he's still like, I can't believe that they missed a free throw. What do you got, Lubie?
Knows me well, but no, I'm actually not going there. But we are talking with Ethan Skolnick. At Ethan J. Skolnick, at 5 Reasons Sports, Mr. 5 Reasons Sports, and Fanlist. So definitely check both out. It's funny, we talked about this with the last series, and it was my only frustration, and they were winning the series, but it was what sort of scared me was you're playing one of the worst, if not the worst defensive teams in the playoffs, yet Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo can't find their way. Well, they were listening to someone because they found their way, and both have been the catalysts in this series, plus Oladipo, but Hero looking like Hero, making his smirk and his snarl. Bam Adebayo being aggressive like we saw him in the regular season in a way that we had hoped he would be his whole career. It's been wonderful to see, and I'm just curious, why now? Like, what happened, do you think, between last series and this series that had them wake up? Because they look like the two guys we saw all year long and been waiting for.
Well, let's start with Hero. I think we said this before the first round series. It wasn't really a Tyler Hero built series. The way that Atlanta defends, which is infrequent, but their style of defense, we didn't necessarily look at it as a series for Tyler. We looked at it as more of a series for Jimmy. So I wasn't stunned that Tyler didn't put up big numbers. I think the concern about Tyler in round one was the Heat played 11 guys. They played a 9-man rotation, but the players were in and out. Spoelstra basically played 11 guys, semi-regular minutes in that series. And of those 11 guys, Tyler Hero by far had the worst metrics on the team. He was the Heat in the first round series. 7 guys were at least a plus 10 per 100 possessions, which is really good there. But then they had 4 guys who were minus, and other words, Tyler by far was worse. So my concern was his overall play. It wasn't just the offense. It's just that he just didn't seem engaged. And we were watching him last night. He's playing with joy in this series. Like, you can always tell if Tyler's comfortable by just looking at his face. Like, it's not hard, particularly at home. He has that sort of this bounce to him. He had it last night. When I talked to him before the series, I was saying, what part of your game gets you started? And he said it's basically the 3-point. That once he makes the 3, everything else kind of opens up. And he made a 3 in game 1, I think, sort of late in the first quarter, right after he came in. And you could just tell that he was relaxing. So I just think, again, part of it was matchup in the first round. The way Philadelphia plays with their drop defense plays, specifically the Tyler's strength. And he's been terrific. As far as Bam goes, again, and it's funny, because what Defo was saying, that I can hear Lubie's Bam tweets in his voice. So that's pretty good indication. I know what Lubie's going after Bam on Twitter. I just think, I don't think he was bad in round 1. I disagree with that. I think that he was tremendous defensively. Offensively, a lot of times they just weren't looking for him, to be honest, which happens. In this series, they've made more of a concerted effort, but also he's made more with his opportunity. There was one stretch last night. I think he only had 6 shot attempts, but he only had 15 points because he was so efficient and aggressive. And when he's getting the ball now, in that, not necessarily the post, but just he gets it anywhere near the basket, he's going up with it. Okay, and that's the thing you want to see because, even once he got sort of stopped last night, but then the ball came right back to him and he finished it. And those are the opportunities that this team needs. It doesn't have to be thrown in the post like he's Patrick Ewing or Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not. But he's such a quick twitch player that he go right back up after he gets stopped. And so I think he's been great too. So I think you see the depth and versatility of this team. Round one, the best players on this team were Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker. Okay, and then Duncan Robinson gave you, an 8 3-pointer game in game one. In round two, the best players have been Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, and Duncan Robinson isn't even playing until there are 59 seconds left in the game. And now Victor Oladipo has kind of replaced him in terms of impact. So this is who the Heat are. The national media doesn't understand it, which is why all they talk about is the other team. But this, I think if you're a Heat fan this year, you kind of got used to it.
That is pretty wild when you think about it. You had Duncan Robinson with that monumental game where he looked like Rex Chapman against the Chicago Bulls many years ago. And I'm watching last night. I didn't stay tuned in for all of it, but I'm looking. I'm saying, is this guy even playing? He doesn't even sniff the court.
Yeah.
As you said, until 59 seconds were left in what had already been established as garbage time. Pretty wild that the Heat are able to maneuver like that and just eliminate a guy who was so crucial for him in one of the earlier games in the postseason. All right, Ethan Scoop Skolnick. We're talking to Ethan Skolnick, 5 Reasons Sports Network, and Fanalist. Fanalist is a new thing. And that's going to be dynamite all over the country. The expansion just absolutely phenomenal. But, one of the things that we like about you also, Scoop, is that you have Pat Riley's ear, which, this is a man who we have nothing but the ultimate of respect for. And we've been asking people this, that have access to Riley or have seen him around or have been down to the arena for some of these games. Have you asked him about the portrayal in Winning Time? And the fact that they found an actor who makes him look more like Joe Pepitone than the Pat Riley that we, remembered being on the bench there for the Lakers, Mr. Slick.
I have not had the opportunity to ask him. He's been a little bit elusive during the postseason, but I can only imagine. I don't think I'm sure the portrayal doesn't bother him as much as Jay West's portrayal bothers him. But I do know that the book that this was based on, which is Jeff Pearlman's book, which is actually a great book, I had a chance to read it, called Showtime. I know that Pat didn't cooperate for that. He doesn't tend to cooperate for a lot of these things. He picks and chooses. I guess if you don't cooperate for him, then you kind of deal with what the consequences are. But he didn't. There's a book out right now, which is also worth reading, called Blood in the Garden, which is about the Knicks in the late 90s. We actually had the author on our podcast, and it's just it gets into Stark space in the early years, and there's a lot of Pat obviously in it, and I know that the author, was a friend of mine, couldn't get. He reached out to the Heat, but Pat didn't want to participate in that one either. So, I think the thing about Riley that's so fascinating is that he's had really 3 completely different careers, and that's since he played, which was a different career entirely because he was, obviously, a hippie role player. If you look at, if you look at the Lakers, the Showtime character is not the same character that was there in New York. And the New York Riley, I think, has become a totally different Riley here in Miami. And I really think a lot of ways, this is, if you look at what's been achieved here, this is not getting talked about anywhere nationally. I really don't understand it because there was such a fascination with Phil Jackson and others. And with Pat, think about what has happened here. And you had the best player in the world for 4 years, okay? We know all the circumstances. Some people know all the circumstances, but a lot of circumstances that led to that player's departure. And I really thought that was it for Pat. When I met with him after LeBron left, in 2015, Pat's talking about we're going to turn this thing around, and LeBron broke the chain of all these great teams we're going to have, but he was defiant. Even as he was talking to me, I'm like, you're not going to be able to recover from LeBron. This was the best player in the world in his prime, and now you've got to kind of make this thing work again. And here we are, and they had a very competitive team in 16, and obviously the Bosch situation kind of blew that up. and all the adversity they dealt with. Riley has over his career. Rizzo getting sick, Bosch getting sick, LeBron leaving, and everything else. And now, they're in the finals 2 years ago, and they got a chance to go to the finals again with a completely different team than they had a few years ago. This is one of his great achievements, I think. You look at this roster. They're starting 2 undrafted players in games like game 2, and they're up 2-0. They're 6-1 in the playoffs. I just think Pat, his legacy here was already cemented. But what has happened with this particular group, the way he's turned it over to Eric Spoelstra, and what Eric Spoelstra has become, because that was a Pat Riley pick too. Is really remarkable.
No, it's amazing. He cloned himself with Eric Spoelstra.
Exactly.
It's fantastic. I wish they would go back to wearing suits on the sideline there, because Spoelstra always, if you were going to do one of those, columns where you had who had the edge would be Spoelstra every time, because he was wearing Riley's inherited clothes. Just absolutely incredible. No, it really is remarkable. And that's been unique in this town, Ethan, as you well know. Because even the vaunted Dolphins organization seemed to fall flat on its face for over 20 years, and we still don't know, where they're at exactly. We're hoping, and there's that Dusty Springfield thing, wishing and hoping that it does work out. But it's been a long drought, and the Heat have never endured that. And I would have to say, after getting stiffed by LeBron at that meeting they were supposed to have at like Circus in Las Vegas or whatever that was, and he doesn't even show up, and then you knew he wasn't coming back to the team at that point, or at least most people would figure. And I think it was even being leaked through like people who knew Dwayne Wade, or maybe even Dwayne himself. He's not coming back. He won't meet with Riley. And he thought, this guy will never be able to piece this back together. And then, he tried it a couple of years ago. They added in Jimmy Butler, and he thought, yeah, that's okay. But I don't know that people would have anticipated these kind of results. And now it appears that they have a fairly clear path into at least the Eastern Conference Finals, which, is no small accomplishment after being the best in the East during the regular season. All right, so no talk of the portrayal in Winning Time. And I would imagine Pat's probably not watching too much of that. Okay, as you look at the rest of the series, even with the infusion of Embiid, would you not think, and it seems like you're of the belief, like most people would be, that this is already too deep of a hole now to overcome?
I think so, and reports are true that Embiid, his vision is enough of a problem that he couldn't really even look at his phone over the past 24 hours. It's hard to believe that he's going to be at top level in Game 3. And look, I'm almost a little surprised that he's going to try it if that's the case, because it's not just getting back from a concussion, which is a mild concussion, which is cleared, but you're talking about this orbital bone fracture. Last time he had it, he was out 3 weeks. And, to be able to kind of get it right, you have to give it a little bit of time to heal. And, he gets hit the wrong way. Like, there could be vision problems for him long term. So I'm a little bit surprised. I think part of this is the circumstances of where he plays in Philadelphia. I think if he's playing somewhere else, maybe there wouldn't be quite the pressure for him to get back. But, will they be better with him? Of course. Okay, if he's even 60% of capable of playing. There's DeAndre Jordan. I think passed away a few years ago, but the doctors put him back out on the court. So it's like a weekend at Bernie situation. So anything's gonna be better than that. But I just don't think they have enough. I said it before. That bench is disastrous. And I think when you look at what the Heat have accomplished, the remarkable thing here is, they really have, 3 max players on their roster right now in terms of what they're being paid. And Jimmy, Kyle, and Bam, right? And Tyler is going to be one, but he's not there yet in terms of what he's being paid. They got 3 max players, and yet somehow they've still been able to build a roster that's 12 deep under the salary, under the luxury tax. And so the Heat are just pulling good players who can fill numerous roles, off their bench in all kinds of different places. And Philadelphia, is pulling a Korkmaz. There's just nothing there. I just don't think they can sustain it against Miami. The only thing about the Heat is, at times on the road this season, their focus would lapse. Yep. And then they get a little sloppy with the turnovers. And that's where the Kyle Lowry thing, may become important. I don't necessarily know that they're going to push Kyle out there in Game 3. If they lose Game 3, then I think the series is 2-1. I think you'll see Kyle in Game 4. And so I think this series probably ends in 5 games. I think Miami loses one up there. If Embiid comes back, there's going to be a lot of energy in that building. Maybe that's the one they lose. But I think then the Heat gets Game 4 and closes it out on Tuesday.
All right. And I would then feel it was safe to say we have seen the end of the process in Philadelphia, that the process finally, I can't think of a process, that takes longer. I guess when you're at the proctologist, it seems to be taking longer, but, this, unfortunately did not end well.
Takes longer. The only process that takes longer, Defo, the construction on I-95. That's not really. But they time it for when the Heat game ends.
Yep.
So that last night it took me an hour and 35 minutes to get back to Fort Lauderdale. Because, they just
nice.
Closed they've closed the same 3 lanes for the last 20 years at exactly 10 p.m.
Always.
Ensure that you're funneled to the 8:36 into the water. That's basically what they do. That's the only process longer than the Sixers process.
I know. Yeah, I thought I heard you yelling out your car window, DeSantis, you suck. But you might have been inclined to yell anyway, but nonetheless, that's a whole nother story. Scoop, always a pleasure, my friend. It's great to be a part of your organization there, 5 Reasons Sports Network. And thanks, as always, for being with us. Very, very, interesting stuff all the way through.
Actually, I'm recording this. Thank you. I'm recording this from my car, still trying to get back to the construction. That's why I'm not on video right now.
Oh, you used to marvel at the money that Bob's Barricades must have been making, huh?
Yes.
Lubie, I don't know. I think Bob might be out of the barricade business. That was Happy Alter's company, the horse trainer out at Calder Racecourse for many, many years. All of his horses had the word mom in there. He was, I don't know. I guess he's still around, Happy Alter. I haven't seen him for a while, but he had Bob's Barricades. Imagine that. No wonder he could afford to go to Ocala and buy the most expensive horse in the sale. Yeah. 500,000, it's a mere pittance for me. No, he didn't talk like that. He was a good guy. Happy. I mean, if your name is Happy, would you not assume? I mean, have you ever known a guy that was a complete prick to be known as Happy? I guess that would make sense, right? If you were,
it's a jerk off. Yeah, it's like Shorty and the guy.
We should name you Happy Lubitz. Yeah, that would be it. Happy Mayo. We'll be seeing him tonight at the watch party. All right, we're going to be seeing a guy who's always happy, Dave Gurgles Gurgley, man. Gurgles lives life the right way, and that's what we love about him, and we love that about Hialeah Park as well. El Boxeo coming up on Saturday. We'll be down there for the weigh-in tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. Gurgles going to have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up here on the show. Dial us up. We'll probably only be able to go head-to-head, maybe working 3 guys. So get in early here, and we'll work our way through it. 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. If you want to jump on board and be our first player here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge portion of the program. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Man, this would be the weekend, Lubie. Have you seen the weather forecast?
Yeah.
Now, it's probably going to be an early version of Hurricane Andrew based on the fact that the weathermen are predicting just pristine blue skies and sunshine. Hot temperatures, though, 90 degrees, man. You could fry an egg on the sidewalk. But why do that when you could put on a pair of flip-flops and sit by the pool there, sip a frozen cocktail, and have one of those great pizzas or any of the tremendous food items at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 on the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. I mean, this Lubie, I was overwhelmingly impressed. I really was, because I was thinking, all right, Jimmy is always associated with class. Larry Calvano, the owner of the place, I mean, first-class individual. Everybody knew his reputation from being, a huge St. Thomas Aquinas guy. And, obviously a very shrewd businessman and sharp, and made himself a ton of cash. Ends up buying his property. It's just fantastic. Gets involved with Jimmy. And you can see Jimmy's influence, right? Because he's a nachos guy. And wow, if you're going to watch a ball game or something or get involved, especially if you're out there in the evening and you're looking for something to do in the Keys besides look up at the stars and, maybe feed a couple of tarpon, go to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill in the remodeled and renovated sports bar, which was already pretty much completed when we were down there. Yeah.
That was nice.
Really nice arrangements. Yeah, of course, the Congemi's involved there, Dominic Congemi and his lovely wife, and they just really run this place in a top-notch fashion. This isn't some lazy, hazy Keys thing. You get the same relaxing, environment, but if you're looking for a drink, it's not like you got to set a sundial to see when the guy's going to come back. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. The service there and the quality of the food is just absolutely amazing. Combinations are exquisite. And they only have a few places available, but wow, absolutely spectacular. If you're from out of town, this is a dynamite vacation spot. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, JimmyJohnson'sBigChill.com for any kind of reservation, and just a great place to stop in once you head out of Florida City or you're heading back from some other southern destination in the Keys. Make sure you make your plans to stop in at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Overseas Highway, Key Largo. All right, coming back, Dave Gurgles Gurgly. Dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. We welcome all of the regulars here to the show. Dave is going to join us here in just a few moments for the Highly Apart Trivia Challenge. Now that.
The time!
It's 8:31.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little help, don't gamble in anger.
I get a panicked phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the Mustang went wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
That's always a disappointing shocker when the ATM machine comes back and it has like 3 skull and crossbones across, like a slot machine, and you're dead meat, no access to any money, and maybe none coming up after the 24-hour time period expires. All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show, here on On Channel. Mike Lubitz is here. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and speaking of trivia and the Highly Apart Trivia Challenge, we welcome to the program the great one himself, Mr. Dave Gurgles Gurgly. David, how are you on this fine upcoming weekend?
Doing terrific. I hope the mic's working and I'm on the air with you.
You sound good.
I was just, we have an event here. That's why I came on a little bit different time. And they had a poster of me, you, and Paulie outside of the event. And I wondered why, because the golf tournament is for the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. So obviously that's why our pictures were there.
Well, I might be the poster child for that, based on certain legal, unfortunate considerations from the past. But no, and I still maintain my innocence in that case. I mean, I was the victim, just like Johnny Depp. Sort of a fraudulent presentation that was made to me, but you don't want to rat anybody out, so what the hell? You take the consequences. All right, Dave Gurgles Gurgly with us here. It's a Cinco de Mayo. You are one to celebrate these sort of things. Do you have a sombrero? And did you borrow that sombrero from Dolph Van Denny at any time, and maybe just keep it, the sequin sombrero? And will you be wearing it tonight?
I didn't wear it today, and the reason I didn't is because there's a great restaurant here called Cancun Grill out here in Miami Lakes.
All right.
For the first 5 years of its existence, I was the host for Cinco de Mayo. And for those 5 years with my sombrero, May 6th was the absolute worst day of my life because I would go there and say, hey, there's no booze in this margarita. Put in some more tequila. Well, it was a tough day, but Cinco de Mayo, great celebration out here in Miami Lakes. I'll be out on the tournament today with our friends from the fraud examiners instead. But I wish all the people out there a wonderful Cinco de Mayo.
Polyman, speaking of the Polyman, I'm at the beach the other day, and I see a guy kite surfing, and I marvel at the people's ability to do this because, I mean, trying it for the first time has to be a little bit suspect, no? I mean, maybe you've been practicing and maneuvering the kite on the beach, but once you get out there in the water and all of a sudden the wind picks up and you move the thing the wrong way, and now you're impaled to a condominium, and some guy named Mo Schwartz is telling you, get off of my patio. And you're like, wait a minute. I just came from the horizon. But I thought it was the Polyman. I mean, it was a reasonable facsimile. If it wasn't the Polyman, it had to be one of the many people that he looks like. I know Farina checked out. And Montalban.
It very well might have been the Polyman because supposedly Bernie left that to him in his will when he passed.
We did leave him hanging from a rope overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. That was great. All right. Some of the many, things that have happened in the past here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. All right, Gurgles, so we have a little hybrid version of the game because, of the limited time that we have. So we're going to get into it in just a sec. But I wanted to get, and we'll have Kate and Breda on tomorrow. And this is a degenerate holiday of enormous, I mean, probably the highest of proportions because I say this all the time. I mean, there is no single better betting opportunity in any of the wagering that's available today. And it's expanded so much, and people's awareness of it and participation in it has just grown beyond exponentially. Even I don't even think exponentially is a big enough word to describe the overwhelming growth of gambling. The Derby, though, presents the greatest return on investment gambling opportunity, I think, that you could possibly find on an annual basis. I mean, this is the single best event that you could gamble on if you were looking to make a score without necessarily risking a ton of capital. Would you agree?
Well, you sir are the poster child for that. You and Kyle.
We've had a couple of good ones, yeah.
And everything you've got. Yeah, terrific. And this opportunity today, I think, is a stellar opportunity because there are so many different running styles in this type of Derby. And it looks like the last several have been people that have been on or near the pace. So, of course, I'm going to play a closer.
Very good. And the Polyman has an opinion on this thing. Is this one of those deals where we're sworn to secrecy? I don't think so, because we couldn't influence enough people to bet on this horse, who seems like a real outsider. But he likes the horse Barber Road, not Barbaro.
And I'm including him.
Yeah. Yep. I have to throw him in just based on the Polyman's past performance charts.
I've got a 5-horse box that I'm using, and Barber Road is certainly one of them because of my respect for Paulie and because I like the kid, Raylu Gutierrez. I like him a lot. But I'm also using in that box Barber Road, White Abarrio, Epicenter, Zandon, and Mo Donegal as my horse to win it up the rail, Calvin Bow rail style.
Very nice. Of course, Calvin won't be riding, but did you see Todd Pletcher? I watched the post position draw. I happened to be like dozing off in the afternoon, and it came up about 3:00, I think, on TVG. And I thought, it's kind of cool. I haven't watched one of these kind of things for a while. I mean, it's not the most exciting thing, but the interesting part is to see the reaction to the guy who draws the one post in the Derby, because they usually have to carry him out, with an oxygen mask, or even worse, in a body bag. They just figure they're dead meat, and it was Pletcher. And, he's not the most expressive guy anyway. I mean, you wouldn't know if he just won the Kentucky Derby or got shot in the back. And, so he's fairly even-tempered, and he turned ashen white. He really did. We were saying yesterday that he looked like Mike Mayo after he downed his second portion of frozen Skyline chili. So Mo Donegal, and he just kind of brushed it off a little bit, saying that this won't be a problem. So let's hope that turns out to be the case. But that's my strategy also, 5-horse tri-box. And then some auxiliary bets there, ancillary bets that I also hope to hit. But the 5-horse tri-box was the one that keyed by Jersey Kyle's brilliant pick of Country House many years ago.
Yeah.
And when that horse ended up being put up and, declared the winner of the race, it changed the dynamic of that payoff to the point where I still may have a little bit of that money left. I don't know. I mean, have I lost 11,000 over the last few years? Yeah, no, that's impossible. All those trips to Atlantic City. All right, let's get into the game here. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and we have somebody lined up ready to go, which we will determine eventually by the random phone scrambler, which turns out, speaking of fraud, to be a complete scam since we only have the one phone line. So what are we unscrambling here? It's like, who are we, Fran Tarkenton all of a sudden? We're running around in little circles like Cochise. Unbelievable. So we'll get right into it. And the Polyman has vowed to return. He says he's close to a return. He seems to be in extremely good spirits. And so in his honor, let's start out this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge with Dave Gurgles Gurgley as the Polyman and some
Easy baseball. This longtime married baseball player on the stages of marriage said, when a man opens a door on a car for his wife, it's either a new car or a new wife. What's that? Rocky Bridges, Lloyd Bridges, Bo Bridges, or Marshall Bridges?
All right, we're going to roll the scrambler just to get a sound effect into the program here. And hey, look at that. Lenny the Chronic. Good, Lenny. Thanks so much for sticking with us as we kind of juxtapose the position of the trivia challenge portion of the program. How are you, Lenny?
Oh, it's good. How's it going, guys? Welcome back, Lubie.
Thank you, sir.
Doing well. All right, we're going to consider that an A. Then he did say A when he came right
He
on.
started with an A.
Yes, he did.
You were
Yes,
qualified with 1 point, my friend.
Yeah.
You're in the game.
All right, with the Derby, Lenny, why not? Horse racing, true or false? Raylu Gutierrez, the jockey who was on the aforementioned Barber Road, believe it or not, only became a jockey to pay off his college loans after graduating with a degree in exercise physiology. True or false?
True.
It sounds like total bullshit.
It is true.
Wow.
It is true. Believe it or not. Yes. That's why he became a jockey. Paulie, be ashamed of me. I'm sorry to hear that.
Very good. Well, he wouldn't have to pay him off now, right? What's going on with that? Biden says yes. He says no. I don't know what's happening with that. It's crazy. Yeah. All right. Rarely would Lenny be 2 for 2. So I'm sensing that this is very much like a heat blowout of the 76ers. Here's your 3-point question.
All right. Golf, Lenny. I know you're a big golf fan. In the 1995 Bob Hope Desert Classic, history was made when the Pro-Am team of Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Gerald Ford, and Bob Hope, 4 presidents, played with what pro or with Tom Watson, Curtis Strange, Fuzzy Zeller, or Scott Hoke?
Go with Tom Watson.
Watson?
No, it was Scott Hoke, who was the defending champion. That's why.
Jeez, okay.
Scott Hoke, man, he had a little bit of a run there where he was very prominent.
Yes.
It was so I don't know, was it short-lived? But for a while there, he was one of those guys that you always had to consider. Okay, going for 7 points here, Lenny, to set the pace in our Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on this fine Cinco de Mayo Thursday.
All right, Lenny, baseball. Which pitcher threw 14 consecutive scoreless innings in All-Star competition over 3 years, obviously? 14 consecutive scoreless innings. Was that Bob Gibson, Juan Marichal, Steve Carlton, or Tom Seaver?
Let's go with Mr. Met, Tom Seaver.
Seaver.
No, it was Mr. San Francisco Giants.
Say, Juan Marichal.
Yeah. That's it.
The high leg kick. Remember that? The high leg kick. It looked like the Rockets.
Yes.
All right, don't go far, Lenny. You could easily find your way into the finals here in this abridged edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. You can dial us up if you'd like to play at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070, if you'd like to contest Lenny and whomever else we can work into the equation here on Ion Channel and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Tomorrow going to be a lot of fun. We'll have Kate Brader on tomorrow on our Degenerate Friday show, Dave. And she's out
great.
there Well, I mean, she was at the workouts. We had her on our Mike Mayo's lunchbox yesterday, and she says the Japanese horse, who I believe is the 12 ball, was just working a hole in the wind so far in the morning. It looked very sharp. So, and this Derby, no matter what happens, is going to pay, I think, a pot. Because you have like two horses that are sort of very tepid favorites at like, 3-1 and 7-2, and then everything else is double digits. Although the line maker may not be well versed in Pythagorean theorem. That's Mike Battaglia there, who couldn't pick his nose when he was doing the handicapping. Although I think he is known to be a very decent guy, Mike Battaglia.
He's
you
a
know
good
him at
guy.
all?
Yep.
Seems like it, yeah.
I do. A real super nice guy, but I agree with you as far as his skills go. Yeah.
Terrible race caller, maybe one of the worst of all time, but a legendary name there. Was his father's name Frank Battaglia? It's a legendary.
I think so. They had a race name for him. Yeah.
Racing family, and Mike was always involved in the game. I mean, you can't help it if you're just not great at something. I mean, it wasn't like he was Tom Durkin. Let's put it that way. All right, you weren't going to go. Wow, I tell you, who's second behind Durkin? Mike Battaglia. The people in Kentucky liked him though, but that morning line is Meshuggah. It's absolutely crazy. All right, tell us about Perdomo Cigars, Dave Gurgles Gurgly, and we'll line up our next player. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be out somewhere betting, maybe Hialeah, because of course our friends at Hialeah Park have that triple header that you'll want to miss. They've got open Churchill Downs. I think the gates will probably open 9:30. It's a 10:30 first post. Then the boxing that night. Then Mother's Day brunch the next day. And out of those three, probably two of them, I'll have a Perdomo cigar. Probably betting the horses and probably at the boxing match. Mother's Day, my mom passed away, as did your dear mom. We'll remember them in heaven. But you can enjoy a Perdomo cigar. You don't need a special occasion. 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto, on the south side, a little bit east of Home Depot, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 305-627-6700, the number to call. They're great cigars. They make a perfect one at a time. Lot 23, the La Tradicion Gold, the Edition de Silvia, you can't beat them. So you want to put something in the humidor, you want to enjoy the weekend, get yourself a Perdomo cigar. And if you go Saturday and Sunday, they're not open, but any tobacconist will have them. Go online, www.perdomocigar.com. And when Mo Donegal comes up the rail to get up with Irad Ortiz, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Will be no surprise to see Irad Ortiz in the winner's circle anywhere. That's a certainty. Yeah. All right. Let's get in another player before we take our final break here on Ion Channel, and then we'll try and squeeze in another one or two if we can after that. So, although time limitation, so we literally are operating under a television time limit here. So, Dave, toss out the next question.
All right. I know you're a boxing fan. In honor of the card Saturday night, Frankie Fiore's put together at Hialeah Park. This boxing one. This fighter at a press conference before his bout with Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, of course, boasted to the reporters, when I get done with him, he'll be nicknamed Split Pea, not Sweet Pea.
Which I would imagine didn't come to pass. Yeah.
No, it didn't. Greg Haugen, Greg Vaughn, Chico Vaughn, or Vaughn Metter?
Greg Haugen. I mean, Greg Haugen was responsible for one of the other great lines, legendary line in boxing history, and that was when he was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez, and they said, well, Chavez is like 60-1. And he said, yeah, he's won 60 fights, but the first 59 were Tijuana cab drivers.
Wow. Oh.
And he proceeded to go out there and get annihilated by Julio Cesar Chavez. But a decent fighter, Greg Haugen. All right, we have Mike. You're next up here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, A.
Hey, it's Greg. Way to go, Mike. Thanks for joining us here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. You have 1 point.
All right, Mike, true or false, sticking with horse racing, the soon-to-be maybe leading rider at coming east from California, Flavien Prat, who is on the favorite, I guess, Zandon in the Derby, from France. Believe it or not, his mother was an accomplished cellist who once performed with the Paris Symphony Orchestra. True or false?
False.
False. Yeah.
It is false. Yeah.
It sounded like more pure BS, man.
Yeah.
But a good, I mean, something you had to consider, especially after that first one turned out to be true. All right, 2 for 2.
That's
Everybody's
true.
nailing the true false questions here today. And going for 5 points here, Mike.
All right, baseball. Steve Carlton started 14 of the Phillies' 15 opening day games from 72 to 1986. The 1 year he missed cost him the record for consecutive opening day starts when it was interrupted by
Ooh.
Was that Larry Anderson, Jim Cott, Jim Bunning, or Bo Belinsky?
Jim Cott.
I'm going to say it is Jim Cott.
Well
nice. I was
done,
going to
Jim
go
Cott.
Larry Anderson. Very good. All right. Possibility for the sweep here, Mike. That would be one enormous accomplishment on Ion Channel.
This is a tough one, Mike. Let's see if you can get this one. There are only two players in baseball to win a league MVP, a World Series MVP, and an All-Star Game MVP. Frank Robinson and
Ooh.
Mike Schmidt, Derek Jeter, Steve Garvey, or Brooks Robinson?
Jesus. Steve Garvey.
Garvey.
No, it was his teammate, Brooks Robinson, as a matter of fact.
All right.
Mike,
Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to. What's that, Lubie?
Well, Mike's going to be in the finals. So
okay, yeah, no, he made the final, and we'll go ahead and match him up against Lenny. In the meantime, don't forget Hialeah Park, the big boxing match coming up on Saturday night. I'm going down Friday tomorrow. They have the weigh-in in the champion simulcasting room area. So, I mean, that's a natural for me. Like, one eye will be on the scale and one eye will be on the television monitors there, and I can slip over to the Brass Rail Bar. I don't know if you want to come out and hoist a few tomorrow afternoon, but that's going on.
Believe
from
it or
3
not,
to
I've
5.
got another tournament.
Oh, okay.
Another tournament, Our Lady of the Lakes Catholic Church tournament tomorrow, and it's Beat the Broadcaster, which may end up getting me a little seed money for Saturday. So,
well, and you're going to need that. I don't know what kind of capital you're going to be bringing in there. I mean, do you enhance your normal allotment of capital to go out and bet the Derby? Because you are going to have to invest a few bucks if you're going to take a shot at maybe making a giant, $5,000-$10,000 score.
well, in addition, I've been very fortunate at Belmont with the opening playing some pick threes. Last week, I hit a pick three with a 13-1, a 10-1, and another 13-1.
Oh my! What'd that pay? Like 2,500?
Come back like 2,300.
Nice, I saw that.
Yeah, so I'll be playing some of that, and of course the Derby. I'm hoping to take out there maybe a little more than 5.
Woo! Oh, baby, yeah. No, but you're not a screen-to-screen degenerate, maniacal bettor like I am, are you? Because I have to cash a lot of tickets to come out okay. Are you screen-to-screen on every race? Like you see Charlestown's going off over here, and you have to get something down.
Well, Tampa Bay will be running too. I like Tampa. Last week, partner and I went in Tampa Bay in a pick 5. We had a 9-1, couple 3-1s, a 4-1, alive with 3 horses. We got beat on our 5-1 shot by a 17-1 shot, and the 50-cent pick 5 paid $66,000. So we chased.
Yeah, that happened to me one day on the beach. It took me a week to finally get back in touch with Luca Panici, who ran second on a favorite that we needed, and the thing paid $60,000. We're sitting there. We have the other 4. Unbelievable. All right. We're going to come back in just a second, contest the finals here. Is that good with you, Lubie? Is that the way you want to do it? Kosher? And, a couple of fine messages of very, weighty importance here coming up, including, I love the shots that Amy put together of Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, because it comes as close to capturing what it would be like to be there. And, as we always say, this is a place that it's not like when you look at the brochure and then you get there and you're in shock. You're like, well, what is this? It's even better when you arrive. So we'll come back with more in a moment here and contest the finals of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. The boxing, I'm going to be down there Friday and Saturday, girls. Are you coming out for the matches?
Maybe Saturday. I'll talk to Frank today.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
We're gonna be out there, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, because we're going to be snoring for 4 with Frankie.
So, Greg, you snoring.
He'll give you that look like ringside, I presume. That's too much. He's got to tell Deontay Wilder to go sit in the club.
Exactly. It is true. When we were ringside, Deontay was like all the way in the back. It is funny. He was like the current heavyweight champ.
Ping Kong Ortiz shows up. He's signing autographs for little children, and we're like sitting in his seats. All right, coming back in just a moment to contest the finals here of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on Ion Channel on the Defo Show. In a moment, now that.
The time
8:54. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Hear me! I am your new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence! In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket?
Power has driven him mad.
Welcome back to the Defo Show.
That was a clip from Justice Roberts justifying the position the Supreme Court has taken. Let's go forward into the past. It's fireside theater, man. These guys were on it 50 years ago. Let's move forward into the past. That's what we're doing here. Who knows what they're going to bring back? I don't even want to think about it. It's mind-boggling. What's next to come from these people? All right, ready for the finals here, and we're going to switch it up. The Chronic has so many Landlubbers gift certificates. There's a ban on the Chronic. In the city of Plantation has put a ban on the Chronic.
It's not a ban. I can't wait to see him tonight.
He has to wear an ankle monitor, and if he gets inside the area there, they immediately descend on his car, and they surround it with police cars and escort him right out of the city. So we have Pez, one of our all-time favorites here on the program, and he's going to match up against Mike, who nearly had the sweep there. He was, within an eyelash, I think, a 50-50 of getting that one right for the 5-point question. And here's how it's going to work, guys. And this is for the Landlubbers gift certificate here in town. Both these guys are local people, so that's great. Dave's going to fire off a question. Call out your name if you'd like to answer right away. If nobody does that, we'll offer multiple choice. The first person to call out his name gets first choice. We go back and forth until we have a winner for the championship of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on Cinco de Mayo, and a chance to wear Dolph Van Denny's sombrero if we can get our hands on it. There's a qualifier there. If we can get our hands on it. Dave Gurgles Gurgley, ladies and gentlemen.
Good luck, guys. Let's go back to a Kentucky Derby question, a little bit offbeat in this sense. Which letter of the alphabet started the name of the horse that has won the most Kentucky Derbies? Was it the letter A, the letter S, the letter R, or the letter W?
Oh, God. That's a rough one. Anybody on that?
Pez.
Mike? Pez, what was it?
Pez.
W.
W. That's winning colors. There had to be some others.
Whirl away. Whirl away.
Yeah, here's Whirl Away on the outside now, and going to dominate this field. So there are 3 left for Mike.
Mike, was it S, A, or R?
R.
R.
No.
Wrong.
Riva Ridge.
Regret
yes.
as well, yeah.
All right, very nice. All right, 2 left for the Pez man. He's got a 50-50 shot here.
Was it A or S?
S.
S.
Yes.
Secretariat,
Yes.
Seattle Slew.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yes for S.
All right.
Super Saver. Super Saver.
19 of them. 19 of them.
Wow.
Oh, we were able to name 3, so it shows you how sharp our memories are and our knowledge of Derby history. I thought Smile was going to win one, maybe coming out of Calder Racecourse, but that didn't happen, right? Smarty Jones was another one, right?
There
Big
you
time.
go. Very
Smarty
good.
Jones.
Very good.
I recognize that because I have a picture of Smarty Jones winning. What was that? 2005 Derby, winning that one, and unfortunate didn't go
How
on.
about
to win
our
the
friend
Triple Crown.
Jean Kruger, Seattle Sloop?
Oh, that's right. The angry Frenchman.
Your buddy. Yeah.
Curse me out in French, man. He stopped just short of saying that, everything that I should purchase in my life should be a la carte. Unbelievable. All right, Dave, we love you, man. Great job as always. Go out and enjoy the golf tournament. I hope to see you Saturday night. That would be great. And we'll be seeing Frankie tomorrow, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks to the people at Hialeah Park for sponsoring the program and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lubie, great job. We'll see you guys later on. We had Scoop Skolnick on from 5 Reasons. So, are we going to put Scoop on his own network? Is that how we work that?
Scoop will 100% be on his own network, doing his 5 Reasons.
Guesting with us on his own network. I like that.
He's on a show there, so it's not new.
There'll be extra Scoop on his own thing. That's 5 Reasons Sports Network, and of course, we'll be on Believe later on with our podcast.
Actually, we don't always know who we're going to have. I pulled something out of my rear because we haven't talked to the gentleman in a while. But knowing Lynn Robbins, one of our favorites, will be joining us.
Oh, great. Okay, that's coming up later on today. All right, we'll see you tomorrow with our Degenerate Friday. Kate and Bradar on the Kentucky Derby, and probably have an opinion on that Kentucky Oaks, which is part of a 2-day daily double thing that a lot of people enjoy. I'm not really very good at this because I'm never alive going into Saturday because I always get the Oaks wrong. I bet against Rachel Alexandre. I mean, if you can imagine that, horse wins by 35 lengths. And is that Secretariat? No, it's a girl. Unbelievable. And we'll have also the professor with the big board, and Mike Mayo could be a very, very insufferable.
Oh, Panthers, please.
Oh my God! What would this man be like to have to put up with if he's up 2-0 in this series, and we look like 2 guys that couldn't afford an omelet, and we have to pay for his dinner at the Runway 84. What a fine mess we've gotten ourselves into. This degenerate stuff is not for the faint of heart, people. Make sure you have a strong constitution. Can control all of your bodily functions. Otherwise, your pants are going to get messy if you're gambling for any kind of substantial amount of cash. All right, we'll see you tomorrow on a Degenerate Friday as we get it underway 7:00 here on Ion Channel. Thanks to the people there for having the program on. That's always nice to know. We're in good standing. Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. We'll see you next time as we leave you now. That
the time.
Thanks, Johnny. It's 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.